And now, the best 60-ish seconds of your week. And as the Festival of Lights continues and Advent rolls every day towards Christmas, we just want to take this opportunity to wish everyone a season of peace and joy and hope and love, and one that is fulfilling for everyone. And next week, as we reach the shortest day of the year for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, a day of great joy for me as we start slowly to shift back to bright sunshine and sunny days. I don't know whether you saw my quote this week where I said that the best part of winter is when it's over. And of course, the Bidens are back in the news, or still in the news this week, as Hunter Biden defies a congressional subpoena and chooses instead to go up to Capitol Hill and hold a press conference for the American people to hear him once again whine about how unfairly he's been treated. And get this, how they've invaded his privacy. I just don't know where these people come up with some of this stuff. But let's just review from 30,000 feet real quickly. This internationally renowned businessman, Hunter Biden, takes tens of millions of dollars. Think about that, tens of millions of dollars from principally two foreign countries. We'll get to that in a moment. But his business acumen is so great that he's worth that kind of money. While meanwhile, his Democrat supporters tell us, oh, he's a drug addict that can't be relied upon, and that's why he made mistakes in filling out forms, and that's why he didn't pay his taxes, and all this and that was because his drug addiction was so great that he couldn't function as a normal human being. But he had all that incredible business skill that allowed him to pull in tens of millions of dollars, principally from China, Russia, and Ukraine. Coincidentally, the three elements that were part of his father's portfolio as vice president. Now, we've talked on the best 60 seconds a lot about BRICS, or CRIBS, or whatever you want to call it, the great emerging economic powers in the world today: China, Russia, India, Brazil, and South Africa. Now, you didn't hear too much about Hunter Biden's incredible business knowledge and ability extending into the largest country in the world by population, India, or to Brazil, a neighbor pretty close by to us, or to South Africa for that matter. No, it was communist China and communist Russia that was providing most of the income to Hunter Biden. So just think about that, and think about who was at the apex of that portfolio at the time that those contracts were initiated. You just follow the money, and it always leads to where you want to go. And although Hunter Biden refused to testify and stood outside of the Capitol building, we're told that Leslie Wolf, who we are also told is no longer with the Justice Department, thank goodness, was inside giving testimony to congressional inquiry this week about her role in blunting the Biden investigation. The whistleblowers in that portion of the investigation said that she constantly put roadblocks in their way, demanded things that normally wouldn't be the case, blunted questions, and wanted no references to the President of the United States or the big guy in any of their investigative tools. That should tell you something, and how that testimony goes remains to be seen. But it will be very, very interesting to see whether she was simply trying to protect Hunter Biden's privacy or whether there was more to it. And this week, the House of Representatives voted along straight party lines to go ahead with a full inquiry into the impeachment of Joseph R. Biden. Now, this is not impeachment. This is simply an inquiry. And what's fascinating is the Democrats in Congress and the White House wanted no inquiry. That should tell all of us something. Republicans are simply saying, let's do this the right way, not the way the Democrats did when they twice impeached Donald J. Trump, but unsuccessfully in terms of removing him from office. But let's do it the right way. Let's get the facts and see where the facts lead us. The Democrats and the Biden White House don't want us to get the facts. And speaking of presidents, last week we hadn't yet gotten news when we taped the best 60 seconds of Liz Magill, the president of the University of Pennsylvania's resignation. We predicted that she would resign, hoped that she would, and of course she did. Now the question, of course, becomes, what about the presidents of Harvard and MIT and other institutions who were fortunate enough not to have their president sitting in front of the United States Congress to answer questions, but who have gone along with all this woke nonsense that somehow draws moral equivalency between Hamas and the nation of Israel, and between anti-Semitic hate speech and free speech and everything being hunky-dory and just okay. What we saw in that congressional testimony was really horrific, and those presidents need to be held accountable. Liz Magill is already out at the University of Pennsylvania, though interestingly, she keeps her high-paying job at the law school there. But there ought to be more to come in the wake of that resignation in a lot of these institutions of quote-unquote higher learning. And there ought to be increased scrutiny on the public money that goes to these colleges and universities, which already have gazillion-dollar endowments. Why they're taking money from the taxpayers with all of this kind of horrible activity going on their campus being either sanctioned or supported by the administrations is beyond me. And what was very fascinating was that horrible testimony that was given before Congress was what we say in the business, lawyered up and hunkered down. And there was a law firm that prepared Ms. Magill's testimony. Interestingly, they also prepared the testimony of the president of Harvard, and that same law firm met with the president of MIT. So think about that. The Hale law firm has a lot of splaining to do, and the head of their crisis communications department within the law firm was sitting behind President Magill at that testimony. You gotta wonder what they were thinking, because we do a little bit of crisis communications work here at Quantum Communications, and I can tell you, rule number one is, when you're in a big hole, stop digging. They just simply couldn't bring themselves to do that. They have bought into this woke agenda for so long, and it is so inculcated in all that they do that getting away from it and out of it is simply impossible for them. Very, very sad. And investors this week were happy because the Dow Jones Industrial Average closed at all-time highs. Think about that. Now, Bidenomics will say, oh, it's because of what we did. Well, the truth of the matter is that the market got back just about to the point where it was when Donald J. Trump left office. It had plummeted during the Biden administration and has crept slowly back up over the course of the past couple of months. And that's a good thing, but the rate of growth since the Trump administration is not where most investors would have liked. And as we've said all along, the stock market isn't the economy, and the economy isn't the stock market. It's one indicator that is easily understood by a lot of people, and all of us want people's 401ks and other investments to do well, so it's a good thing. But underneath it all is the pervasive fact that Bidenomics is really hurting ordinary families where they live and as they prepare their family budgets. So at this time of year, the blessed time for all people, let's just hope that the economy continues to improve, because for now, that is the best 60-ish seconds of your week.